Each week of this course on global evangelism, you'll be doing a special project. One week it will be to evaluate an informational piece about world evangelism that is being used in the Church of the Nazarene. You're to evaluate it in terms of is it, how can it be used, and do you think it's, going to do the job? Another week you'll be doing an interview of a missionary. Another week you'll be looking at trying to find out everything that your local church is doing in terms of ends of the earth evangelism. This first week, you are to come up with ideas for two sermons on global evangelism. Now, I know some of you will say, I haven't had a preaching course yet. I don't know how to make a sermon. Well, you don't have to make the sermon. I just want two ideas. Each idea should have two sentences in it, just two. The first sentence will give the big idea of the sermon, what the sermon is about in one sentence. The second sentence will be your call to the listeners to action. The verdict, sometimes they call it. What is the verdict that you want the listeners to give on the sermon? This week looks a lot at global evangelism, the grounds for it in Scripture. You'll be looking at a lot of Scripture passages, and from all the way from Genesis to Revelation. So you need to pick two of those Scripture passages or verses, and one for each of your sermons. And then for each sermon that you pick the passage for, and you need to tell us the reference for the passage. You don't need to quote it. We can look it up. Just tell us what's the scripture reference, the chapter and verse, book, chapter and verse you've selected. Then the big idea. What is this sermon about in one sentence? The second sentence will be, what call to action are you making? Now, sometimes students will make a call to action for the need for missionaries. Well, not everybody in every local congregation is going to feel God's call to missionary service. Not everybody should go. Not everybody is gifted to do that. So your sermon needs to be aimed at everybody, and your call needs to be some kind of involvement. And then that can come in a variety of ways, right? It could giving, praying, supporting in some way, writing to missionaries, encouraging them, lots of things like that. Well, that's the special assignment for this week. Two sermons, your biblical foundation for your sermon, one sentence telling us what the sermon is going to be about, the big idea, and the second sentence will be the call to action. I look forward to seeing your ideas, your creativity.